You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Major League Pickleball has landed in New Zealand. New Zealand's first professional pickleball teams, the Southern Stars and New Zealand Hustle, will compete for a share of 700,000 Australian dollars in the expanded MLP series across Asia in 2024. The teams will play in a series of tournaments, including one in Auckland in March. Now, while pickleball is still a relatively young sport, it's the fastest growing sport in the United States and is also growing rapidly here, and the introduction of these two teams into the MLP will no doubt lift the sport's profile even further. Adam Thompson is the CEO and co-founder of Pacific Pickleball. He joins us now. Thanks for your time, Adam. The thing you probably get asked the most often is the question I'll ask first, and that's an explanation of the sport. Maybe we can start with that. I've heard it described as a mix of ping pong, tennis, and badminton. Would that be a fair summation?
That's completely fair, and thanks for having me on. It's really exciting to see the growth of the sport in our region and in New Zealand in particular. So it's described as a mix of all sports. So it's played on a badminton-sized court. You use a little paddle that's slightly larger than a table tennis paddle, and it's got a lot of components of tennis as well. So it's a bit of a mismatch, but what's really exciting about it is its accessibility and fun for everyone. A much smaller court, a lot faster. It's really great. The origin story is pretty enigmatic and interesting as well. It's originally invented in the US, surprise, surprise. Rhode Island, a family were looking at something to do in the holidays and stumbled upon a few kind of leftover badminton nets and paddles and decided to create something on their driveway. They named it after, interestingly enough, a pickle boat. Pickle boat, for those who don't know, is a rowing term for the leftovers, who, fill the leftover boat, a little bit of, the people pick last, but it's I think, really, really great example of the sport and its accessibility. And, we're really excited to see it continuing to grow in New Zealand with the launch of these two Kiwi teams in the league.
Yeah, tell us about Major League Pickleball. You're co-founder of that. Tell us about its origins and where we are as we look forward to 2024 with two New Zealand teams involved.
Sure. So we're really excited to have founded Pacific Pickleball a couple of years ago now. We signed a partnership with Major League Pickleball in the States. For those who follow the pickleball world, or even news in general, they probably saw some big names signing on as owners of these leagues in the US. So you've got the likes of LeBron James, Naomi Osaka, Tom Brady, Nick Kyrgios, all signing on as owners of teams. The sport's huge in the US with over 36 million people playing the sport, and it's really exciting to see its continued rise in the US with big prize money and a lot of people competing. We were really excited to be their first international expansion partner here in Australia. We held 5 events last year, $200,000 prize money given out to a lot of very talented players, including some Kiwi players. And we're really excited to have continued that growth and that expansion into New Zealand and Asia with the launch of 12 teams competing in the league. So we've got 6 events announced for 2024. Very excited to get down to Auckland. I'm a Kiwi, so I'm really excited to, have them down there and be able to help explain to my family what pickleball is. And it's going to be really exciting seeing the introduction of the sport down over Easter at Albany Tennis Centre.
What do you think is behind the extremely rapid growth of the sport in a competitive sense, in an elite sense?
In a competitive and elite sense, it's really fun to play, and it's one of those sports where you don't realize, you're playing it and you've been down there 4 or 5 hours and suddenly, you're pretty knackered. It's a lot of fun. It lends itself to viewership really well, and I think the number of participants that just play it for fun really has led to, the rise of finding a way to go further than just, having a hit, playing for fun and getting into the competitive level of the sport. If you have 36 million people playing it, there's always going to be a handful who want to really compete at that top level. So we're really excited to have seen that in the US and to have translated that across here in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. And I think New Zealand's a really great example of it, where you've had the sport growing and being played at a really good level for some time. And you've got these superstars, Matt Carter, who's coaching our New Zealand Hustle team, and Jay Grewal, who's coaching our Southern Stars team, coming through and, competing at that top level, not only in Australia in our Pacific Pickleball and Major League Pickleball events, but even across in the US, where they've been able to have great opportunities to play. So, it's something that's fun for everyone. It's easy to learn and play, but it's really tough to master. It can get very quick. So, would love to see people come down and experience it for themselves.
What sort of backgrounds do the top players tend to come from, Adam? Do they tend to be tennis players, for example, or not?
Yes, there's a very big overlap with tennis. I'd say about 85% of our players are from at least a reasonable tennis background. Some of them come from playing Wimbledon. They're incredibly high-level tennis players. Some of them continuing to be on the ATP tour now, who are competing in some of our pro teams. So a good background in tennis is going to help you a lot. But surprisingly, the best player in the world, Ben Johns, best male player in the world, he comes from a table tennis background. So there's a lot of other sports that translate very well. So if you've got a background in table tennis, squash, badminton, you're very likely to be able to compete really well there. And any of that hand-eye helps. That being said, I come from a background in soccer. I'm definitely not at the level as players in our teams, but it's one of those ones where it's pretty easy to pick up and compete.
And as far as a spectator sport is concerned, I've seen it played here locally in Wellington, where I live. There's a huge participation level of pickleball at the local indoor sports centre here. But as a spectator sport at the very top level, exciting to watch, no doubt, as well.
Really exciting to watch. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to head across to the States a couple of times last year and experience it myself. And you've got, thousands of people sitting in the sun for, 12 hours a day, back to back, watching these players compete. And they've had continued to have record numbers tuning into the sport, not only, in person at these incredible events, but online as well. And we've continued to see those numbers rise. And as we have more people participating, playing, it's inevitable that people also want to see what that top level of the sport looks like. And we're seeing that translate really well done here as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, it's an exciting time for those who play it here, those who enjoy watching top-level sport. So, we can't wait to see you in Auckland for one of the events coming up, Adam. Thanks so much for joining us across New Zealand and giving us a bit of inside information.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and we really want to just extend that invite to everyone who's available over Easter. Come down to Albany Tennis Centre and check out the first stop for Major League Pickleball Australia in New Zealand. Come support your team captains, your athletes from the Southern Stars and the New Zealand Hustle, and thanks again to those captains and Pickleball New Zealand, who do a great job of supporting and growing the sport. Thank you very much for having me.
No, Adam, thank you for joining us. Adam Thompson, CEO and co-founder of Pacific Pickleball. Going to hear a lot more about that sport in the years ahead.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.